they only show the stuff that doesn't actually directly point to the shooter being like far right. You had a bunch of insane Nazi shit on there. Writing these kinds of names also is another common factor in the terrorgram groups. But isn't he a leftist? No, no. What are you talking about? He's talking about like gas the Jews and he wrote the N-word and only highlights white supremacist neo-Nazi mass shooters. What would ever cause you to think that this person is even remotely leftist? Asbin is saying they're leftist? Ugh. Let's get to the mass shooting that took place, okay? School's back. And of course, when school's back, that means another thing that is associated with schools in the United States of America is also back, which is school shootings. Let's take a look.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We're coming back on the air as sources now tell us at least 2 people have been killed, at least 12 injured, and 6 victims now being treated at Children's Minneapolis Hospital following that deadly shooting at Annunciation Catholic School.
Like, this is not even a joke. Like, I'm not being unserious about this. I'm 34 years old. So it's been many, many years since I've been in school, right? So I don't know when school is in or out. And this morning's news reminded me that school was back in session. Like, I, as an American, far removed from schooling age, unironically learn about school being back, not from like back to school supply runs or whatever, even though I participated in one recently, but straight up from school shootings. It's fucking insane.
I am the Minneapolis police chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children.
The shooter, I don't know what the shooter's gender is or whatever, but I have seen a bunch of Groyper posting from the shooter. So of course you're going to have a bunch of the exact same people that have the exact same worldview as the shooter, who literally pollute the same circles as the shooter, who egg on people just like that shooter to do the mass shooting that they did, to turn around and be like, no, this was a woke libtard trans person. So, you know, it's the classic David the Pee-Pee equation, right? When he went in and tried to kill Nancy Pelosi and then tried to kill Paul Pelosi, every single person that looks exactly like that dude, who believes the exact same shit that dude believes, who knows that fucking dude online, probably anonymously, turned around and was like, nah, that's not one of us, dog. He's gay. He's woke and gay. That's not one of us. That's literally, it's just the method. This is the meta. This is what they do all the time.
This type of messaging needs to get you on a watch list. Hasan's trying his hardest to push this far-right incident. Well, it's clearly not a far-right person. You don't have people that are advocating to kill the current right-wing president and say that they're right-wing. The shooter was a trans neo-Nazi. Hating Jews doesn't make you a neo-Nazi. I see more anti-Semitism from left-wing people than I do from right-wing people.
Will it shock you when you find out that it's actually, once again, most likely another terrorgram right-wing grooming victim? So interesting. It's another 09A 9 angles 716 terrorgram situation. How? That's so shocking. I'm so shocked. Of course the dude was a Groyper. What are we talking about? Yeah, another nihilistic, terminally online Nazi with incoherent politics, a love for weapons, and an obsession with Russia, Germany, esotericism, and online memes. This has been like 70% of all shooters in the past decade. Of course, guns are the main problem, but we got to do something about this shit too. Yeah, this is literally how it works every time, bro. What the What does it have to be? 100% of the shooters until people go, hey, a lot of this like crazy esoteric Nazi that exists on the internet is probably leading people to just go out and do heinous acts of violence. Maybe we need to, I don't know, talk to our children, fix this problem a little bit.
Young children ages 8 and 10 were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition.
By the way, remember the terrorgram, like Nazi, white nationalist, white supremacist shooters have literally been a woman, a white woman, and a black man. Okay, so it's not even the school shooters at this point, at this stage now, as long as they're a part of that like far right coalition, doesn't necessarily have to be a white person. This is why I always say white supremacy has gotten more diverse than you even understand.
The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy.
The target is unique because it's a Catholic school. So get ready for the shooter was trans and the shooter was woke, and this was an anti-Christian act of violence. After they're done talking about we got to do something about mental health, when they have no interest in doing anything about mental health whatsoever. And, you know, there will be people blaming, Trump derangement syndrome. Laura Loomer is already saying it's Trump derangement syndrome. Another Trump hater who wanted to kill Donald Trump on its gun before opening fire at a Catholic school in Minnesota today. We'll be see how interesting how the Democrats spin this school shooting to fit their narrative to blame Trump. TDS is a straight up mental illness. 2 for 2. Even Ryan Ruth. Both of the people that were apprehended in the election cycle for either shooting Trump like in the ear or killed in the process, or tried to assassinate Trump at the golf course, were either former Trump supporters and Trump voters, or were literally active Republican Party members. Like, what are we talking about? Not that it matters, but like these guys just, they like Trump and then they get bored, okay? And then they're like, well, I got a gun and a proclivity towards violence, so I might as well do something with it. It reminds me of the synagogue shooting that took place, right? Under the first Trump administration. The dude was a massive Trump supporter, and he went beyond Trump at a certain point and was like, you know what? Even Trump is not doing anything about these undocumented migrants that are coming in because Jews are doing the great replacement. And that's why he went into the synagogue in Pittsburgh. He got hopped up on fumes off of being pro-Trump and being pro-Tucker Carlson, and he listened to what Tucker Carlson and Trump were saying, and he took matters into his own hands in this heinous act.
As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you. With that, the investigation is obviously in its preliminary stages, and I will attempt to take some questions to provide further information.
Chief, what can you tell us about the suspect in this case? How old was he? Any kind of motivation? Any...
Also, these like esoteric far-right groups are becoming increasingly undecipherable in their political worldview. It's just directionally on the far right, but sometimes they're so far right that they just like end up hating Donald Trump as well. It's kind of like Nick Fuentes, who hates Donald Trump now. Part of the reason why he hates Donald Trump is because of Israel. The other reason is because, he's not deporting enough Mexicans.
So we were looking, the question was, what can be said about the shooter? We believe it is one suspect, a sole shooter. We believe he is deceased. He is in his early 20s, does not have an extensive...
This dude was not a groyper, law? What do you mean? How the do you say this dude was not a groyper? There's images of his guns. Like they love writing shit on their guns. The images are like 6 million Jews were not enough. Yeah, here. Reddit lies. Mass killers deleted this, so I'm uploading it here. Possible images of alleged Minneapolis Catholic shooters' weapons and gear. Where is your God? Get clapped. They only show the stuff that doesn't actually directly point to the shooter being like far right. You had a bunch of insane Nazi shit on there. Writing these kinds of names also is another common factor in the terrorgram groups, where they consider these guys to be fallen angels. Like they consider them to be like martyrs. They idolize them. They call them saints. Here, Tal Hagen reports some words are censored to avoid this entire post being censored. Breivik, reference to Anders Behring Breivik, perpetrator of the 2011 Norway attacks, anti-communist, anti-socialist, psychotic, white supremacist Anders Breivik. Breton Forever, reference to Brenton Tarrant, the Christchurch shooter. Again, insanely Islamophobic, white supremacist, the one that famously said, subscribe to PewDiePie before doing the heinous mosque attacks. Yes, Anders Breivik, you might recall, because I think Asmongold literally made his WoW username and named his WoW username after Anders Breivik back in the day, which is so insane that I initially didn't believe it. But I guess he all but confirmed it in the past. So,
what's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to be doing something that I've been working on for a really, really long time, and that is a full level 90 to 1.
Like a phoenix, we rise from the ashes, a symbolic, metaphoric statement of rebirth and resilience. FTW, reference to either the world or for the win. 6 million wasn't enough. Reference to anti-Semitic statement regarding the Jews. Born to forced to wipe. Reference is a 2019 meme. FD or FO. I don't know what that is. Burn Israel. Saul Pace. Reference. Teen shooter linked to a school threat in Colorado. Destroy HIAS. Reference HIAS. Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society that assists refugees. So that's another great replacement. Jews are doing great replacement to destroy Western civilization narrative. One that you might have heard from Tucker Carlson or Donald Trump or any number of different right-wingers that say, not that Jews are responsible for it, but they say the great replacement is happening. And, you know, a lot of the Nazis actually take that and further elaborate on it in the same way that the neo-Nazi movement did in the past. Fuck everything that you stand for. Suck on this. Where's your God? Suka, Russian profanity, means bitch. I'm the woker, baby. Why so curious? In Russian, slightly misspelled, means kill yourself. In Russian, I am a nightmare. Nuke India, the big one. Fart N-word. In Russian, hate, kill yourself. He said, kill Donald Trump. Rip and tear, for the children. Timothy McVeigh, reference. Camebred, reference. Username associated with Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook shooter. Ha 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 ha. Reference to a Joker-style laugh. More than 10. Fuck you, eat F slur. I love you, get clapped, hate you, vape good, this world, unhappy, emoticon. Anyway, it's just all like a litany of different dumbass, esoteric and not so esoteric memes that you can find in some of the absolute worst corners of the internet with regular frequency. There are many instances that corroborate the existence of these online chat groups where they worship mass shooters and encourage each other to carry out atrocities. Yeah. The top of the Minneapolis church shooter's gun has the same symbol used by the 4th of July shooter, Robert Crimo, in his music videos and the book he published. So this kid had to have connected to Nazi Satanist sects that have been indoctrinating school shooters all over the U.S., right? Isn't this the same symbol that some of these kids use? Remember, one of the recent shooters used this symbol in a bizarre schizo video. Why would a Groyper target a Catholic school? Because some of these guys actually become anti-Christian as well. They think... Dude, because first of all, they're insane. Like, what are we talking about? But if you want to understand, like, what variant of psychopathic far-right esoteric Nazism they believe in, these sorts of groups that have had tremendous impact on mass shooting incidents all around the world, not just in the United States of America, by the way, because they operate through Telegram. And on Telegram, they radicalize people further and further into esoteric satanic Nazism. Some of them even actually have, they're white nationalists, they're Nazis, but they also have sympathies towards like the Western stereotyped version of Islam too. Like Islamic jihadism is a thing that some of these groups believe in as well. But ultimately their goal is to you know, kill as many people as possible and go out in this way. Nick Fuentes in America First, a Catholic movement. Lamau, oh my God, you're so stupid. Clearly, we're not just talking about him, okay? There are groups beyond that. Yeah. There are pagan Nazis, for example. There are pagan Nazis who believe that like Christianity is also a different version of like Judaism. Like Vars Vikernes comes to mind. Or not Var. No, what is his name? I'm saying it wrong. What the is it? Is Varg, not Vars. Sorry. Varg Vikernes is a guy who is famous for like killing his like band member, stabbing him to death. And yeah, Burzum from Burzum, who famously also had firebombed a bunch of churches. So there is like a lot of pagan Nordic Nazis as well. I think there was a manifesto. Obviously, I can't cover it on stream. I'm not trying to get blasted. What the hell is this? Mayor defends trans community after shooting at school, saying those who direct hate towards trans people lost their sense of common humanity. Shooter has been identified as a 23-year-old Robin Westman. FBI Director Kash Patel identified them as a male. Documents from Westman requesting a name change say they identify as a female. So there's a likelihood that this shooter was definitely a esoteric Nazi, but also one that could have been trans, which is precisely the reason why every single person that immediately rushes to say, oh, this person is trans, from the people that brought you, unlimited mass shootings, and then subsequently turning around and claiming that it's a trans person that did the shootings, is the second time there is a trans shooter in the thousands of different school shootings that have taken place from the exact same worldview that these guys hold.
Or heard. Apparently, this gunman parked in the parking lot was shooting from the outside of the church, shooting through the stained glass windows into the pews. We can confirm now at least 17 injuries, 14 of them children, 2 in critical condition. And
Given
now,
enough time and the school shootings will cover all demographics, of course, because it's the most American thing. It has already. There was a mass shooting that took place. It was an old Asian dude. Okay, it already has. Obviously, the common denominator here is guns and ease of access to an arsenal of weapons. There are more guns in circulation than there are people on U.S. soil. You will never be able to convince me that this is not a uniquely American problem directly as a consequence of that. It just is. There is no comparison to knives. I think America has a higher rate of knife violence than the UK as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not that's not even comparable. Okay.
now we can confirm that 2 of those that were killed were children, ages 8 and 10 years old. The mayor saying these children were in mass.
Rule 9 of the 11 satanic rules of earth: do not harm little children. Please don't conflate Satanism with insane right-winger groyper Nazis, bro. Dude, I'm sorry. Okay, but your meme religion, mostly just practiced by edgy atheists, is not the main point of contention here. Okay, Jesus Christ, dude, holy shit. You find a guy for everything in this community. Okay,
it truly is, Kara. It is exactly the nightmare scenario.
Yes, the Order of Nine Angels does not affiliate itself with the Church of Satan. Okay, because the Church of Satan and the satanic religion broadly is just a Reddit atheist religion. Okay, it's a meme religion. What are we talking about? No, these guys are Nazis first and foremost. They're white nationalists, white supremacists first and foremost. Oh my fucking God. They're not like the gay polycule guys that go and protest in the Missouri City Hall because trans people are under attack or some shit. That's what most Satanists are. Nine Angles, sorry.
My sources
not
was
Nine
describing.
Angels.
Doing something to meaningfully address this epidemic in this country. And
So will Alex Jones say that this didn't happen, or did he learn his lesson? Okay, he doesn't need to say that anymore. Everyone else says it for him. You got to remember, when Alex Jones said it, he said it at Sandy Hook. That was a unique moment because like people were shocked by it. We live in the post Sandy Hook world. Nobody gives a anymore. This is as commonplace as like the first bell when the school season starts. You know, you have to realize like Americans do not care about this. Like they will go, oh, this is so sad. But we are an ultra violent nation. It's a terrifying country, honestly. Yeah, I mean, this is it. And this exists in my mind forever. In retrospect, Sandy Hook marked the end of the U.S. gun control debate. Once America decided killing children was bearable, it was over. There is no amount of violence that our children in school will take that will cause Americans to turn around and say, okay, we got to do something about these guns. It's over. It's done. That's it. That's precisely the reason why all the conversations revolve around like door control, revolve around arming the teachers and shit. There's also a Yeah, I did see the alleged Patriot Takes video that was resurfaced. In this now deleted video, the alleged Minneapolis church shooter Robin Westman told supporters to vote Republican House candidate Brandon Herrera. I met Brandon Herrera at SHOT Show last year. He and I had a brief conversation, but we agreed on a lot of things. So y'all should vote for Brandon Herrera for president. Fuck those kids. I don't know if this is the actual.
Brought to you by BlackRock and ExxonMobil. Sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon. Brandon
Yeah, it looks like it's the same notebook.
Herrera for president. Yeah, I met Brandon Herrera at SHOT Show last year. He and I had a brief conversation, but we agreed on a lot of things. So y'all should vote for Brandon Herrera for president. And
yeah, there was the Trump shooter, if you recall, also had another gun tubers merchandise on when he shot Donald Trump. Not Ryan Ruth, the other one.
Vintage Warfare promotes love and peace.
Yeah. Herrera ran for the Texas District of Uvalde. Yeah, the other guy was wearing a Demolition Ranch merch. Anyway, a fifth grade boy reportedly shielded his friend during the deadly Minnesota Catholic church shooting, laying on top of him to protect him from bullets. He was making sure I was safe. He got hit. One child is now hospitalized. The other is calling him a hero.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be okay. And then my friend, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And you have a nick on your neck?
Yeah, I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
But that came from during this?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You seem pretty put together here, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just like confused.
So yeah, I mean, look, a country that allows this to happen to its white babies, why the fuck would it ever care about it happening tenfold to black and brown babies overseas? You know what I mean? That's it. These things are intertwined. They are interconnected. It's just not, this is a part of the same systems of violence that happens. They're calling the most recent shooter in Minnesota trans to ignore the fact that there has been an organized group of far-right suicidal school shooters, and this person is very likely going to be linked to them as well. 964. Very good thread. Definitely tying the 764 078 called, or 9 angles called as well. Not 07A, 09A. The Order of 9 Angles, which we've covered before when I was talking about Roblox. This group has been, unfortunately, insanely successful in creating instances of terror all around the world. They're connected to an incident in Turkey. They're connected to numerous incidents, including these last two, when you had a white woman and a black man. Both were white supremacist Nazis, of course, regardless of their background. But here it is. Minneapolis shooter, most likely also a part of the Telegram right-wing grooming cult. Anybody who's been paying attention to the past patterns among mass shooters for the past decade can easily tell the above due to a number of commonalities. This is extra thick Jew gas. He's a smoke grenade. Order of the 9 Angles, 716 affiliated shooters ranging from Pekka Avunian to James Holmes to Roslekow hold a common set of beliefs and symbology that they cannot help but smear everywhere like feces. White text on guns, okay signs, private references. Here, the cross associated with Robert Crimo. Crimo, of course, like Pekka and Holmes, and Roslekow, another Discord to kill ruin who claimed to have been an MKUltra victim and a false flagger. All this has been covered in great detail elsewhere, especially by this excellent Parapower thread. However, there is another layer of interesting connections. The shooter had a forum account in which they announced the shooting 3 weeks in advance, notably Order of the 9 Angles symbology in their bio there. From there, I was able to find their Twitter account. Their Twitter account is quite something. You don't see many leftist shooters talking about soy cucks and claiming vat-grown meat is a Zog psyop. Nor do you find them following and being followed by Telegram pedophile types. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. A lot of them are also pedophiles too. They're Nazi pedophiles. What I consider to be the absolute nail in the coffin, though, is this post. Very opaque. Most people would miss this. It's a reference to a Order of 9 Angles, TOB, 764 Tulpa figure called Drill Sergeant Gray. Esoteric satanic Hitlerite types are fond of him. It connects into a whole nexus of beliefs. Drill Sergeant Gray, for a lack of a better term, a demonic tulpa of a gray alien that these losers immanentize to yell at them until they clean their rooms or shoot up a school. Part edgy LARP, part psyop, part psychosis generation mechanism. Oh, did I mention how Order of Nine Angles was a Gladio CIA operation? Did I mention how there are unusual connections to Russia? So many of these guys love their white Cyrillic text on their guns. Did I mention how the Christchurch shooter vanished into an Order of Nine Angles connected training camp in Ukraine? Did I mention how an esoteric satanic Hitlerist movement that was originally controlled by the CIA has spun out of control and now exists as 764, a shooter grooming network? Yeah, they have, this is like an international grooming operation to try to get people to do like ISIS-style lone wolf incidents, but at the behest of esoteric, satanic neo-Nazism. Many of those groups, you would assume, are filled to the brim with like actual, actual feds. But it turns out maybe this person was not on their radar. The Annunciation Catholic school shooter thought that they were dying of lung cancer from vaping and other means and seemingly intended to commit suicide in the sanctuary. Initial assessment is this is another Order of Nine Angles, 764, Telegram Discord to kill deep event. The people that this shooter actually posted about all over the guns were all famous, unfortunately, famous neo-Nazi, white supremacist mass shooters. Pekka Eric Avunian, the Hitlerite Finnish school shooter. James Holmes, the schizotypal Aurora theater shooter who wanted to eat souls. Adam Lanza, Sandy Hook. Vladislav Rosiliakov, Bible-burning abuse son of a Jehovah's Witness, a member of the Claybald and Harris fan clubs online who shot up and bombed the Kirch Polytechnic College. He also talks about the ammo being sponsored by BlackRock, ExxonMobil, PBR, and right-wing congressional candidate and gun-tuber, the AK guy, Brandon Herrera, for president. Describes meeting Brandon at SHOT Show and says, sorry to her family, but those kids. This symbol on Westman's clip is the Cross of Endlessness, which is perhaps most affiliated with Highland Park parade shooter Robert Crimo III, an occulted Discord to kill rapper who alleged he was a product of MK Ultra and retroactively claimed this was a false flag. Yeah. Oswell, another, in air quotes, trans anti-Semitism manufacturing free Palestine false flag for good measure, smacking of the Joel Osteen church shooting on Super Bowl weekend in 2024. There's also Anders Breivik reference in there. Robin was a neo-Nazi edgelord for sure and probably has Order of Nine Angles, digital underground neocultures link as hypothesized. Says Hart Breivik. Westman's inspo shooter Robert Crimo Creepy Hours music video in which Cross of Endlessness flashes hypnotically across the screen. The Twin Cities appear to be a bit of an 09A hotspot, highly interesting in the context of the Vance Belter assassinations, as shown by this knife attack perpetrated against a homeless woman by a 20-year-old member of the Cell SR1, nicknamed Corrupt, weeks ago. It's all like people that are incredibly bored and incredibly twisted online that find themselves deep in the esoteric neo-Nazi movements and inevitably make their way into groups like Terrorgram that basically laser remove the remaining wrinkles from their brains. This is highly evocative of Natalie Rupnov, the Nazi femcel Wisconsin shooter linked to Order of Nine Angles, who, if I recall correctly, communicated on X and elsewhere with an account from Russia or Eastern Europe, and who was also mutuals with the Antioch, Tennessee, Black Hebrew Israelite Groyper shooter. Both of them referenced Avinin, like Westman here. A lot of these kids are super fucked up, super lonely. This is not to offer them any sort of protected cover. They're scumbags, right? I mean, they're demonic entities pretty much. But if you want to understand how people find themselves in this side of the internet, they're deeply lonely. They're desperate for a sense of community. They're angry. They're resentful. They feel as though society has fucked them over. There's often some serious issues that they have, both in terms of mental health, but also beyond that, there's an anger and resentment that they have towards specific subgroups in society. For many, it's like migrants, trans people, things of that nature. And they go down this right-wing pipeline. You can start off by watching Ben Shapiro videos, right? But then you inevitably find yourself seeking out more and more insane political shit, more and more insane esoteric political shit. And your circle gets increasingly smaller in the process. And you, at the tail end of this, you arrive at the pedophilic Nazi satanic esoteric cult such as the Order of Nine Angles. This is like the literal end of the spectrum. I don't know anything that's more depraved than that. Like, it's so depraved that like the Klan is actually not as depraved as these guys are. Okay, this is the extreme edge of the far right Nazi spectrum. This is so extreme that these guys are like, they're beyond the Groypers, even though the Groypers are very close to these people and are actively fulfilling the ranks of the Order of Nine Angles and whatnot. But isn't he a leftist? No, no. What are you talking about? He's talking about like gas the Jews and wrote the N-word and only highlights white supremacist neo-Nazi mass shooters. What would ever cause you to think that this person is even remotely leftist? Asman is saying they're leftist? Ugh. Yeah, of course Asman is saying that they're leftist. The shooter highlighted Anders Breivik like Asmongold has in the past. If anything, Asmongold is closer in their worldview to this shooter than anybody else, okay? Of course he's going to say it's a leftist. Also, he's not very intelligent. So that's probably part of the reason why he immediately took whatever Fox News narrative he saw and went, yeah, based. Anyway, the goal in these sorts of incidents is to basically flood the market as fast as possible with like misinformation that directly targets your ideological opponents before the dust is settled and people realize, no, that's not the case, actually. It's the exact opposite of what you said.